Welcome to our tutorial on mastering TypeScript utility types. Today, we'll dive into the world of utility types and explore how they can enhance your coding experience. First up, let's introduce you to partial, pick, and omit, three powerful tools that help us manipulate object types in TypeScript. We'll see real-world examples using each one to make our code cleaner and more flexible. From there, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of how to use these utility types effectively. Finally, we'll summarize what you've learned and highlight key takeaways so you can confidently apply this knowledge in your projects. Welcome to our exploration of utility types in TypeScript. These are powerful built-in transformations that can really elevate the quality of your code. Let's take a closer look at three commonly used ones: partial, pick, and omit. Imagine you have an object with many properties, and you want to make some optional. That's where partial comes in handy. It makes all properties optional. Conversely, if you need specific properties from an object, pick is perfect for that. It creates a new type with just those properties. And when you don't want certain properties, omit removes them from your original type. Understanding these concepts will help you write cleaner and more maintainable TypeScript code. All right. Let's dive into the world of utility types in TypeScript with partial, pick, and omit. These are powerful tools that help us manipulate interface properties. First up, partial. It makes certain parts of your interface optional. For example, if you have an interface for a user profile like name, age, and email, using partial allows these to become optional in another context. Next, we've got pick, which is all about selecting specific properties from an existing type or object. So if you wanted just the name and email from that same user profile, pick would be your go-to. And finally, there's omit. This one removes selected properties from a given type or object. If you don't want to include age in some scenarios, omit will help with that. These utility types are super useful when working with interfaces and other types, making our code more flexible and maintainable. Welcome back to our journey through TypeScript utility types. Today, we're diving into the partial type. Let's see how it works with an example. We start by defining a user interface that includes ID, name, and email. Now, what if you only have some of these properties? Here's where partial comes in handy. By using partial, you can create an object that has optional properties from the original user interface. For instance, let's make a new user with just an ID. We define new user as partial and assign it ID 1. When we log this to the console, we get ID 1, showing only the required ID field populated. This is super useful when you're not sure about all the fields or want to create a flexible object structure. Welcome back to our series on TypeScript utility types. Today we're diving into the partial utility type. Essentially, partial takes an interface and makes all of its properties optional. This is super useful when you're working with forms where not every field needs to be filled in. For example, imagine you have a user profile form. You might want most fields to be optional so users can fill them out at their leisure. Here's how it works. If your original interface looks like this, let's call it profile. It has properties like name and email as required. With partial, all of these become optional, allowing the user to skip over some fields without breaking the form logic. It keeps the structure but adds that flexibility you often need in real-world applications. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the world of TypeScript utility types with pick. Let's take a look at an example. We have a user interface that includes properties like ID, name, and email. Now, imagine you only need to work with ID and name for a specific part of your application. That's where pick comes in handy. By using pick, we're essentially telling TypeScript to extract only the ID and name fields from our user interface. When we log this to the console, here's what you'll see. ID, number, name, string. This is a powerful way to create more specific types without losing type safety. It's like packing only the essentials for your trip. Lightweight and just right. Stay tuned for more fun with TypeScript utility types. Welcome to our tutorial on pick utility type in TypeScript. This type is super useful when you want to create a new type that includes only specific properties from an existing type. For example, Imagine you have a user interface with many properties including email, username, and password. But for authentication purposes, you might just need the username and password. Using pick, you can easily extract these properties into a new type like this. Type auth info equals pick. This makes your code cleaner and more focused on what's actually needed in that particular context. Welcome back. Today we're diving into another powerful feature of TypeScript utility types. Let's take a look at an example. We have an interface, which has 3 properties. And now what if we want to create a new type that is just like our user but without the email? That's where it comes in handy. Here, I'm using to exclude the property from the interface. Let's see the result. When we log this to the console, we get that means and are included, but is omitted. This type of utility is super useful for scenarios where you need to tweak an existing type without changing its original definition. Welcome back. Today we're diving into another powerful feature of TypeScript's utility types. The type, essentially, allows you to take an existing interface and remove specific properties from it. Imagine you have a user authentication interface that includes fields like username, password, and email. If you want to create a new type for just the username and password, excluding the email, you can use. Here's how. Let's say we start with this interface, which includes an email property. By using, you get a new type that matches everything in except for the email. It's like having a toolbox where you can easily remove certain tools without losing all your other essentials. Alright, let's wrap up what we've learned today about TypeScript utility types. We covered 3 key concepts: partial, pick, and omit. Partial allows you to make properties in an interface optional, which can be super useful when dealing with partially known data. For example, if you have an interface for user details and want to make some fields optional, partial is your go-to tool. On the other hand, pick lets you select specific properties from a type or object, kind of like picking out the best ingredients for a recipe. And omit does the opposite. It removes selected properties from a given type or object. These tools help us keep our code more organized and type-safe, making it easier to maintain and debug. Mastering these concepts will definitely make you a stronger TypeScript developer.